All right, what's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome back again for another video. So today, hot off the press, we just signed Goran Dragic, and we'll talk about it right after this.
Get the lowdown on one of the most iconic basketball teams in the world. You're listening to Chicago Bulls Nation.
All right, Bulls Nation. So this might be confusing to a lot of people, and to me including, because we signed another guard. Yes, another guard in Goran Dragic. However, I'm not as mad as other people are, because I can see on Twitter, people are confused because they are, it's no secret that we needed rim protection and shooting. And the two signings so far that we had are Dragic and Drummond. Kinda addresses those needs. Drummond is an okay rim protector. He's not Rudy Gobert by any stretch or Dikembe Mutombo, but he's better than Vooch. He can rebound the ball and can occasionally block shots. Better than Vooch, obviously, but again, not the caliber of Ben Wallace or Rudy Gobert or Clint Capella in that sense, right? And also as far as 3-point shooting, we did get Goran Dragic, who is a pretty good 3-point shooter. Not as of late, although his stats are not as bad. But you would think that those elements would come from other areas, right? Not in the guard position, because we are kind of deep when it comes to guard. Now, I feel like there's two things that's going on with Dragic here. It might be that Lonzo's not right, so we are looking for an insurance policy. Because if Lonzo, we saw what happened when Lonzo was not right. We were forced to start Ayo, and it was fine on the regular season. But when the playoffs came, the refs doesn't respect the rookies. Or maybe even sophomore in this case, unless Ayo really turns the corner and becomes a star this year. But, you're not going to get favorable calls. And, when the other teams are going to zone out on the rookie, or in this case, Ayo. But when you have somebody like, Goran Dragic, who would kind of take command of the ball, meaning he's a veteran point guard who's been through the trenches, right? He's seen it all. So when the other team is on a run, for example, he's the type of guy I would say that wouldn't panic, would distribute the ball accordingly and not would just give it to DeRozan and go one-on-one, because that was my biggest complaint back then, was that the team was on a run and we needed, to control the pace because we were leading. Yet we'll give it to DeRozan just to jack up, like a random jump shot. Well, in fact, we can slow it down, give it to Vooch down low, or run a pick and roll or something, right? Run something else rather than giving it to DeRozan. And if you were, our point guard at the time was Ayo, and I understand, he has a lot of respect for DeMar. That is his vet, I believe. And, first reaction is just give it to your main guy and let him go to work. Well, in fact, we got Vooch, who was rolling in the playoffs. I wouldn't say rolling, but playing better than DeRozan at times. So you want a point guard who has good decision making, who'll be like, all right, DeRozan, you don't have it this night, or let's distribute the ball, let's do some, let's share the wealth, not just I wouldn't just dump it out to you, clear out and let you take a contested jump shot. We'll give it to Vooch, or we'll give it to Zach, or we'll run a play. Those kind of point guards who can, stand up, I would say, to DeMar and wouldn't be intimidated because of his stature. And I would say a veteran point guard like, Dragic, or I wanted back then was George Hill, because he does have the size and he can defend as well. Now Dragic cannot defend like George Hill could. They're both older, but that's not what you got George Hill for. You want somebody to defend. I think that's why we got Terry for. So we shall see. And for a minimum, there's not much you would want. I think he signed for a minimum contract, and you see we got Drummond as well. So now you're seeing we got two New Jersey players playing for Chicago. Maybe they're the hook to get Durant. I'm just joking here, but I like the signing so far, and I know a lot of people does not. I love it. I love the Drummond signing. This is what happens when you sign almost 3 guys that are making 20 million or more. Not almost, all of them are making 20 million or more. You can't build depth. And this is what happens. And I see guys complaining. It's like, hey, they're being cheap again. There's a reason. You can't just sign anyone just because you want to sign. Just because I want to be in luxury tax. Let me give Goran Dragic 20 million. It doesn't work that way. It's called bird rights. You gotta have rights for the player and all that stuff. You can't just sign someone off the streets or offer, for example, Mo Bamba 30 million. It has to fit the cap space. And how would these guys, you're gonna ask, how are these guys paying luxury tax? That's why Bobby Portis signed for 4 million first, so they do have the bird rights to him, so they can sign him for a bigger, larger contract right after that. So now they have the rights to him. That's how it works. You can't just sign Bobby Portis off the streets, for that amount of money, unless you have the cap space. And if you have the cap space, that means you wouldn't be in the luxury tax anyway, because you have the cap space. So, but it's a complex thing. The Bulls are being creative, doing what they could. I would say AK and Mark Eversley is doing a fantastic job with the limited resources that they did have. Not every year is going to be a slam dunk like what we did last year. The Bulls are now back in the prominence. It's hard to build a championship team in 2 years. So just keep that in perspective. There's a lot of things happened with the Bulls last year, and we can highlight all those. But the fact of the matter is, we were not healthy. There's a lot of lineup changes. Zach itself, the entire year, was not healthy. So we have no choice. We got to run it back or trade some of the guys that we do have for somebody like Kevin Durant, who's a difference maker. Those people who are saying that, we should have gone for Gobert, do you really guys want to pay 4 first or 5 first round picks? And even if we did, I don't think Gobert is a different changer. He is not. He never was. Because if he is, he would have changed Utah's fortune. But no, he was in the second round with arguably Donovan Mitchell. And we can make an argument, whether you agree with me or not, that he's a better player right now than Zach LaVine. And yet, they're in the second round. And be like, hey, we're going to surround Gobert. You can't surround Gobert with other players if you're paying him $40 million. We can't even surround our guys with decent size contract, and Vooch is only making 22, and DeMar is only making 27. So both of them guys is almost what Gobert is making. So keep that in perspective. But so far with this signing, I'm okay. That's what I expect. They have, I think, if they sign it for minimum, if I'm not mistaken, a guy with this is like 2.9 the minimum now. So that means some of our mid-level are still out there, and there's gonna be trade. I think we're gonna get rid of Kobe White and package him with Tony Bradley, because he did pick up his option, and maybe the Portland's first for an impact, maybe power forward, not an impactful power forward, a rotation guy, or maybe somebody who would spell, Patrick Williams on the bench here and there. Maybe for somebody like, maybe not package the first rounder, but maybe get Jay Crowder, something like that, But I'm pretty sure this signing spells spells Kobe White being out. So that leaves us with a bunch of guards still. We got Caruso, who's the first man off the bench. Ayo, who would I like to give minutes to. That is if Lonzo's not playing. I want Ayo to start and, get Dragic and Caruso off the bench. And that means Lonzo is probably not healthy yet. And then, we'll see what happens there when we trade Kobe and Dalen Terry at, towards the end of the bench. Because Terry's so big, not so big. He's 6'7", but with a long wingspan that you can play him at 3, I believe. And he's going to be like our defensive specialist. So we'll see. But let me know in the comments how you feel about this trade, a minimum signing at the very least. And if not him, who would you think we should have signed at a minimum at least? So I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.